Hi, it's Elwin here, and I'm here today with Louise. Rani is my colonic hydrotherapy practitioner. Has been for, I think, several years now, right? And it's only like sending other people to Rani again and again that I get told every time, like, wow, she's amazing, and wow, you're so lucky. And I'm like, oh my god, I had no idea. And it actually turns out that Rani is the best colonic hydrotherapist in the world, TM. But actually she does a lot more than that. So I thought she'd be the perfect person for me to interview today and to share her philosophy and to share with you her perspective on getting healthy, which comes from many years experience, many years of really being focused on it, and basically as a master practitioner. So welcome and thank you so much for being here, Rani.
Thank you, Elwin. Yes, I'm Rani Louise, and I am a nutritional therapist and colon hydrotherapist. And
That's okay, that's a pause. So I'll go straight into the next one. Unless you want to say something else to introduce yourself. Okay, good. So, Rani, can you share with us a little bit about what you actually do, what is involved in that? I mean, it's not a funny question. What's involved in being a colonic hydrotherapist? And what's involved in being a nutritional therapist? And if I may mention as well, you're also a laughter facilitator and coach.
I am
right?
a laughter leader, yes.
Yeah, so if you could share with us just a little bit about what each of those are, that would be awesome.
Okay, yeah, my work is a delight because I work with people supporting them to be the healthiest and happiest they can be. Obviously the different things I do, it's on many different levels, and what I find incredible is every individual that I come across has their own story that is fascinating and unique, and each story and my own story is constantly reinforcing that our health and wellness and vitality is created on so many different levels: physical, nutritional, biochemical, and mental, emotional, spiritual. And a lot of the work I do works on these many levels, and it's just fascinating to see everyone working on these different levels at different times, sometimes together, sometimes finding their way on one path and then it changes, and it opens, people opening up in one way that then allows another level to work.
It's interesting to see you have that perspective, because I found that you're one of the easiest people in the world to talk to, even when you're in the middle of giving me a colonic, which you wouldn't think that'd be the time that you confide. Well, maybe you would, I don't know. You confide your deepest secrets to someone, but so that really comes across that you really care and that you're really interested. So in terms of like the mechanics and the practicalities, you know, the different things that you do, like what might someone expect if they were to you know, step into your world and your professional world? What do you actually do with them?
So on the different levels, people can come simply for a colonic, where they might be supporting their own detox program. A lot of people come just to try it out, and the great thing is with the colonics actually is generally something shifts for people when they come for a colonic, even if they just came because they were a bit curious and they haven't actually done anything to change anything else. Something shifts and they go away generally with just a bit more awareness about what they're putting into their body, how their body is working, how it's nourishing itself, cleansing.
It's like some part of them becomes dislodged or unblocked then.
Yes, exactly.
Funnily enough.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, the different levels mean that when we clear things out physically, quite often thoughts and feelings can move and flow a lot better. And that then, you can relate that to the laughter sessions, which works on yet another level, because being playful really engages the right side of our brain, which totally opens up our creativity and problem solving, and yeah, it all works very well together.
Excellent, yeah. It may not seem related, you know, running laughing sessions and clearing people's colons, but actually there's a very sound connection, okay? And nutritional therapy, I guess most of us know what that is. You know, you help people a lot about cutting out things that are bad for them, adding in things that are good for them, right? Presumably.
Yeah, I mean the nutritional therapy is a lot to do with cleansing, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm lacking this, I'm lacking that, I need to just take this and take this to sort out the deficiencies, but actually our bodies are not going to use those nutrients until we've cleaned out, because by, for example, just taking some supplements, we're just adding more stress to our body, and our body is thinking, what do I do with this now, because I've already got all these toxins to deal with, I've already got all these blocks already. So by cleansing and detoxing first and really just clearing the pathways, then we can start feeding the body.
Absolutely.
So it can really use those nutrients.
Just to clarify, some supplements will help your body with that cleansing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But you mean like the vitamins and minerals and
yeah,
that kind of classic stuff, yeah. That's just pouring more in that your body can't deal with.
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent. So let's get into the really juicy bits, if you don't mind, which is, do you mind sharing with us a little bit about your own personal story? Because like you say, everyone's personal story is fascinating. So could you share yours with us? You know, what led you to be interested in this in the first place? What challenges did you have? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're one of those people who came to health because you were doing so awesome, you just wanted to be more awesome, but I think most people, they start because they have some kind of challenge maybe, or something that they're looking to, so they're searching for something. So
yeah, I think I was always searching for a way to get the best out of myself, in a way. And my early years were very characterised by a lot of depression. I spent a lot of time mildly depressed, with occasional interruptions into even black holes and being deeply depressed. And my way out of that was actually some very intensive emotional work, so emotional awareness, emotional release. And that completely changed my life, absolutely. And by opening up on the emotional level, I then, in some ways, was more open to then start looking at my body physically and what I was putting in and how my body was working physically. Because then I was looking at kind of chronic things like, you know, low energy, bloating, anxiety, things that just still weren't feeling quite right. And then really discovering how having a clearer, cleaner body and putting good quality and clean, live food into it, everything just works better and I feel better mentally, emotionally, and my energy levels are better. And like I say, yeah, like you said, it's different for everyone. Someone else, they might find that the biggest change comes when they open up physically, and then their emotions and their thinking can start flowing a lot better. And we're all working on all these different levels. I think my health journey is just constantly reinforcing all these different levels that contributes to our health and vitality. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? People think it's all about the physical, but I mean, I didn't come at it from a physical perspective to begin with either. I came at it from being in a very, very black place emotionally, and then getting into spirituality and all that sort of stuff, and then only finally through there kind of realising, you know, having enough awareness that carrying on doing what I was doing to myself was seeming unbearable. And that's kind of how the way I phrased it at the time. But now I look back on it, I think maybe when I had very low self-esteem and very low self-worth and all the rest of it, you know, if you have bloating and constipation and whatever else, you may think, not that I really had that particularly, but I did have bloating, I had loads of issues, I had pains and all kind, and energy, severe fatigue and major addictions. That was a big thing for me, whatever. All of that stuff was basically normal if my standard was really low, right? If my emotional standard was really low. And then when my emotional standard increased, because I did work on that level, then suddenly like I was looking at myself, my actions, I was like, this isn't good enough, is it?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because actually sometimes I hear something that someone says that really sticks with me. I remember Tony Robbins saying something about how...
Another Tony fan.
saying something about... talking about the statistics about what percentage of people are going to get cancer, heart disease, all these things. And he said, I'm obviously paraphrasing, something like, but you know, that's for someone on an average Western lifestyle and diet. You don't have to do that. And it was like, yeah, if you actually choose to give yourself a higher quality of what you're putting into your body and what you're experiencing in your life, you're not part of that statistical picture that's just leaving everything to chance. You're actually choosing to be better and to be as outstanding as you want to be. Yeah.
Excellent. So was Tony actually the one who first made you, or did it come across before?
He sowed a lot of seeds in my mind, because it was quite a few years ago, before I ever got into nutrition, I saw him. And it was interesting because the way he talked about illness and colds and flu, and it's all just the body trying to get things out your body, you know, it's a massive detox basically. And I was like, oh yeah, of course.
It's an interesting question as well, like what other influences do you have? I think, did you go to Barbara Wren's kind of nutritional college? Is that another strong influence for you?
Yeah, absolutely. My nutrition diploma is from the College of Natural Nutrition, which is run by Barbara Wren, and she's an outstanding woman. She really, again, looks at the body on such a holistic level, and it's difficult to describe it.
She has elements of Chinese medicine there, doesn't she? Like where, you know, the lungs will relate to a certain emotion and a certain thought and a certain, you know, areas of the body and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, she trains us in many tools, just ways to look at the body and how to see that everything is connected. Because one of her big things is, which I completely agree with, is that nothing happens by accident, nothing is random. Our body, our miraculous bodies, are so amazing, and they are always doing the best for us. At any moment in time they are trying to keep us as healthy and alive as possible. So all these symptoms that we have that I think conventional medicine somehow helps us look at them as quite random events, it's all logical, it all has a story, and it's all connected. And that's one of Barbara Wren's big teachings. Everything is connected. All the symptoms we have, they've all followed a story. We are connected to the universe, to the earth, and the Chinese 5 elements is one way of being able to look at the body and see how things are connected. You see things moving in, you know, that are connected, for example, in one of the elements. It's like, oh yeah, I see how that's progressed now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're completely aligned on that one. That's one of the things I like about Taoism, you know, it says there is no distinctions. It's always funny to me when clients say, oh, you know, I felt ill recently, I probably caught something. It's like, you didn't catch anything. Or maybe you did, but there's a reason why you did and your uncle, neighbour, workmate, whatever, didn't. Right? There's something else going on here as well. Can you give us an example, in fact, of a story like that, where you noticed like interconnections for any patient or any client in the past, or family member even, or anyone, where you saw that there was a connection between different things?
I mean, there's always these connections. I'm trying to think. I had one client recently, for example. I mean, we all come into this world with a predisposition, so we have different parts of our bodies that are going to be a bit more susceptible to stress and to different things that are happening. And for example, if someone is experiencing their liver maybe is a bit sluggish, it's not really processing the toxins efficiently enough, then it can give someone quite a feeling of being a bit stodgy and a bit sluggish and heavy. And I've actually had a client who has always felt that she was fat and overweight, and suddenly she's been following a lot of my recommendations. We've got her liver working a lot better now, a lot of things are clearing, and she's actually had dreams where she has been talking to someone saying, I'm not fat, and she totally believes it. Everything has lightened up about her. And yeah.
That's excellent,
and the connection between physical and feelings is, they're just everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good example, So someone who has this disempowering belief about themselves, you'd think what you need to do is talk them out of it. That's what most people would do. You're not fat, you're not fat, you're not, but actually you're like, I won't do that, I'll get them to clean their liver, and then it resolves itself, right?
It works on all the levels, but
So that's probably a really big myth that we've been talking about, like the myth that things are separate, you know, and the myth that things just happen to you, right? Now I know one of the things you do obviously is colonics, and that's, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you do very well, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today. So particularly in the area of colonics, what are the most common myths that you come across, do you think, and what would be like, you know, to give people a reality check, right? Because I try and do it, but then again, I'm not a cardiotherapist, so you know, you can do this better than me.
Yeah, when I think, what comes to mind, I think two main questions I get asked about colonics. One of them is, but doesn't a colonic just flush out all the good bacteria? And my answer to that is quite simply, most people on an average Western diet don't have enough good bacteria in their colon. They've got too much of the pathogenic bacteria and the yeast overgrowth, and the important thing really is to be clearing out all the bad guys, getting the environment as healthy as possible so that the good bacteria can get in there and really work and really grow. So yeah, that yeah, people think, oh, you're going to get rid of all the good things, but actually there's not enough of the good things in there to begin with.
Do you tell them as harsh as me? Do you go, you don't have any good bacteria, alright? Stop whining.
No, don't point the finger.
I don't do that either. Occasionally I like it. But yeah, I understand. Okay,
Yeah.
So that's a big one. And where do you think this misconception has come from? You know, why do you think people have this resistance to it? I know you're not going to know the answer definitively, but what's your
Well, I
perspective?
mean, it is in some ways an unusual procedure. It's not something. It can be a bit confronting for people to be cleaning out in that way, but actually it is interesting because people might have resistance to it because it seems like a strange thing to do. But sometimes when you dig a bit deeper, actually, quite often there's a lot of people have resistance just to letting go of things. A lot of us have quite a pattern of holding on. You know, we like our stress. You know, it's quite a habit and it's quite comfortable.
Makes us feel important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And actually, a lot of people again when they do let go and when they have a good clear out of their colon, they're more relaxed. They're not so stressed. They don't feel so busy, and that I think can be scary for people. So yeah, on a practical level, it might be, oh yeah, that's not the kind of thing I want to do. But actually, I think it can go a lot deeper with our own identity and what we're holding on to.
No, I have quite a few clients who have heard about it for years and who have never tried it. I don't know if you believe it's of universal benefit. I would say it is to anyone who has health problems anyway, unless they've had serious surgery or complications or something like that. In fact, maybe I shouldn't be giving my perspective. Could you just share, if anyone watching this right now who hasn't had it done, but is interested, tempted, has heard about it, could you reassure or warn if it's not a good idea? I don't know. What would be your perspective?
I mean, there are specific contraindications that would make it not a good thing for some people. If, for example, if they have, some inflammatory bowel conditions.
Like diverticulitis?
Yeah, it's, diverticulosis is fine because a lot of us actually have that. That's when we have pockets but they're not getting inflamed or painful. Then it becomes diverticulitis. And to be honest, someone with diverticulitis probably wouldn't even think about having a colonic. They would actually be in so much discomfort and pain.
When it gets to that stage, you can't help them with colonic?
No, I mean, it would have to be calmed down in some other way.
Okay. Is there any other reasons why it wouldn't be a good idea?
There's various contraindications, such as severe heart disease, just because we're introducing a lot of water into the body, and by doing so, that's why the actual treatment time is limited, because by introducing all this water into the body, we're introducing it into the colon, but the whole body is absorbing it, which means the kidneys are having to work a little bit extra hard, because it's the kidneys that regulate our fluid levels and our blood pressure.
Okay.
So if anyone has severe issues in that area, and their kidneys might be very vulnerable.
So let me put it differently then. I mean, obviously, if you have any medical condition, you should always consult a doctor before doing anything. Yeah. So, assuming that a person hasn't got a serious diagnosed medical condition, is there any other reason why they shouldn't have a colonic?
No.
Says the camera.
No.
Okay, great. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to get at. And could you give a bit of reassurance about it? Because I think if I were going to send it to someone for a colonic to anyone for the first time, it would probably be you.
Thank you.
Because I know that you would be caring and gentle and all the rest of it. I mean, can you share, maybe allay people's fears about it? Like, I don't know, rates of risk or your own experience and all that kind of thing? It
is a very safe procedure. I think a lot of people think it's an unusual thing to do, but actually it's cleansing rituals of the digestive tract are thousands of years old, maybe even older. And it was always a natural thing to do, to be cleansing. For example, in the yoga tradition, there are cleansing rituals where they cleanse from the digestive tract from the mouth downwards, from the anus upwards, to cleanse out the digestive tract. And, for example, we clean our teeth every day, and if we didn't, we would get build-up there. Now, they were having these cleaning procedures thousands of years ago when the food supply was a lot more natural, when they were really eating off the land, when we were eating berries, nuts, vegetables, things that were crunchy and they went through our digestive system nicely, and all moved very well. And again, we look at the average Western diet, and unfortunately a lot of the food that's being eaten is not very natural, and it's quite sticky. You just have to look at a slice of bread and screw it up in your hand, and it pretty much turns to glue. That is what it's going to be doing inside your body. So our food supply is causing more blockages in our body, just the very nature of it.
Yeah.
And that food being in our digestive tract is also producing more causing our digestive tract to produce more mucus to help deal with it, because it's not easy to digest. That mucus is making it even stickier. So everything really is getting a lot more clogged up than it did thousands of years ago, when we were already wanting to cleanse as a health maintenance thing. So from that point of view, it is really important.
And for anyone watching this who hasn't really heard about it, just in case there is anyone, could you briefly outline what it is that we're talking about here?
Yeah, it's the procedure is generally around 45 minutes of actually lying on the couch and having purified, sterilised water flushed into your colon, flushed in and out of your colon to flush out. Well, it helps to loosen up and flush out build-up of waste matter. And the water flows in under very gentle pressure, and it's pretty much body temperature. So quite often when the water first starts flowing, people don't even feel it. It is very gentle and also profound. Like I say, people can have quite some shifts after they've cleaned out like that.
And for anyone who thinks it's alright, I have 2 bowel movements today already or something like that, I haven't got anything old in there, it's all moves through just fine. Do you agree with that, or in your experience of seeing what comes out? You see it through a clear tube, right?
I do.
Yeah, so in your experience of seeing stuff, is it your experience that generally we have a lot of old stuff come out?
Yeah, I mean, generally the benefit is, for example, when we eat something, it should take 24 hours to come out the other end. The average Westerner, it takes more than double that, which means we've got things building up in our intestines and sitting there for a lot longer than it should be, which means it is putrefying, it is attracting pathogenic bacteria and yeast, which all produce gases, they're byproducts, they're waste products, which can be contributing to the gas. So things are building up. Even if you are going to the toilet every day, it doesn't mean everything is clearing out.
Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What was the other myth you were going to tell me about?
About colonics?
Yes. So we had the one about not flushing out the probiotic bacteria.
Oh yes, no, I remember. A lot of people say, oh yeah, but our bodies are so amazing that they can cleanse and they can do it all themselves. Why do we need to give them a helping hand?
Okay.
And actually I think I've covered
We've really
the
addressed
answer
that
to that. So we do need to give them a bit of a helping hand, considering we're not really putting the best quality things into.
I like the toothbrushing thing. I've never heard that before, but that makes perfect sense. Yeah. So if it's if you're so natural, then why are you brushing your teeth, right?
Absolutely.
You should just be able to eat whatever you want, and your teeth will be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, you have to clean them. Well, there you go. It's the same for the other end, right? I like that argument. That's good.
Don't use a toothbrush.
Yeah. Rani stopped him for the day.
You've taken nothing else away from this. Don't use a toothbrush.
Excellent. So there's some awesome tips already. When I do these interviews, I always say, if possible, because we don't want to be talking about ourselves, it's great to introduce yourself, obviously, and I do it every time, but we can also give people some stuff to take away with them, some stuff, right, let's really simplify it, boil it down, maybe top 3 tips, top 5 tips, something like that, something you want to share with everyone watching and say, hey, as far as I'm concerned, for detoxifying, these are the things which I consider to be really essential, and share a little bit of your perspective. That would be awesome.
Okay. The 2 things that I think are misunderstood actually are stress and hydration.
Okay.
For example, modern life is stressful, but people tend to think about stress as deadlines at work, difficult relationships. But when we stop and think about what stress we're putting onto our body by eating food that is actually asking our bodies to do something to digest it when it's actually quite difficult to digest, and it's not actually giving us very much, that food is actually taking more from our body than giving us in energy.
Okay.
And it's also when the food is not so natural, the body really can get stressed trying to digest it, and also using the elements of the food in ways. I mean, an example is there's a huge confusion, I think, around damaged fats. You know, we've been told for years and years not to have saturated fats, not to eat butter and eggs. And actually, we need saturated fats. And the big thing that we really struggle with is the damaged fats, which I think people are waking up to a lot more. But damaged fats, which are the processed, refined fats and heated fats, our body will take them in and start using them in place of the good fats. And when they slip into our cell membranes, which is where we need to have the good fats, they will start causing problems and stress, because our cell membranes will all be getting closed up. And our cell membranes have to stay open for nutrients to flow in, for toxins to flow out. And this is a big stress on the body when all our cells are clogged up. And so this is stress. Yeah, it's seeing stress in a different way.
It's an interesting perspective. I mean, I've certainly come across the idea before, but I must admit that's not normally how I talk about it. So, you know, it's great that you're reminding me of that, and maybe true for some of our viewers as well, that when we think of, oh, I have so much stress, we think about, well, in fact, the way a lot of people put it is, I need to eat loads of pizza and cake or whatever because I'm so stressed.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about, I'm eating loads of pizza and cake, which is stressing me more.
Yeah.
And yet what you're saying is that is actually exactly what it's doing.
Yeah.
And would you say that then, if you do eat loads of food that stresses your body, then if you have outside stress, right, although really there's no such thing, it's all about how you respond to it, but you know, if you have your boss shouting at you later or whatever, you're more likely to get stressed by the boss if you've just had some junk. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely, because our body is producing prostaglandins, hormones, chemical messengers all around the body to be coping with stress and coping with situations, and it's not able to do that. If everything's closed up, it's not getting the raw materials from the food, the body is in stress and not so able to do it, to cope with it.
So what are the main stressor foods then that you would recommend that someone cuts out no matter what, you know? So obviously there's some things that everyone disagrees about, and some people think it's good, some people think it's bad, like fruit maybe, some people say it's not good, some people, but what's like the definite just, no, that's bad, that's a stressor?
The damaged fats.
Damaged fats, they're top.
Yeah.
Number one, okay. What next?
Sugar.
Sugar, yeah.
Wheat.
Wheat, yeah.
Dairy.
Dairy. All dairy, without exception, yogurt and kefir? And
Certainly.
Sorry, but I know this is what my viewers are going to be saying.
Yeah.
Butter?
Well, butter actually is mostly fat, which that fat part of it is not the problem.
Good.
And when I talk about dairy, when I talk about milk, we're mostly talking about the processed milk that you find on the supermarket shelf. And most of the problem is the processing, because it's completely changed the molecules, and again it's causing such difficulties for our bodies to digest. And again it clogs up, you know, it's just not giving us anything, it's causing our bodies to kind of go, how do I deal with this? And
again, this is something that you see every week, right? This isn't something like your theory that you read in the book.
No,
you're seeing the stress, literally seeing it coming out.
Yeah, and then I see the changes when people start cutting down on some of these stresses. They're like, oh my god. Yeah, they actually, a lot of it, they say, well, I actually feel happier. And you know, people can disregard that. They're wanting the pain in their knee to go, but it's like, yeah, but how do you feel? Well, actually, you know, I feel happier. And I mean, actually, I've got a good story. A client I had for a colonic, and she came along and she was drinking 10 cups of coffee a day. She was working 16 hours a day, and this was her life. And it felt like her life was quite contracted. She was just working, drinking her 10 cups of coffee. And I didn't tell her to cut out 10 cups of coffee like that. You know, generally I'm quite gentle. You know, I'm like,
you're very gentle.
Do things gently. You know. Well, I saw her about 2 months later. She came back. She said, "I stopped the coffee because something. I think when she had the colonic, something did shift in her, and she made these changes. She stopped the coffee dead. She had horrendous headaches, but she went through them. She was like, I am stopping this. She now was working 8 hours a day. She booked a holiday. She hadn't had a holiday for years because she hadn't even thought about it. You know, and it's like, to be in a life where you're not even thinking about having pleasure in your life, you know.
And just to reassure, she was still able to pay the rent and all the rest of it?
Yeah. She wasn't working the long hours for the money, it was because it was some kind of, that was part of her identity. And so yeah, these changes can happen where, to feel happier is so important.
So would you put coffee on the list as well then?
Yes.
So
stimulants and things that stimulate.
So we've got, right, just never have these ones, right? I'm pointing again, aren't I? Never have them. Bad fats, sugar, wheat, stimulants, and processed dairy. I think that's a good top 5 things to cut out, right? And cut down, sorry. Yeah. And then ideally cut. Okay, cool. So that's an awesome tip, I think. So reduce stress in a novel way that you might not have considered. Stop poisoning your body, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about this?
And then moving on to the second thing I said about hydration, because when we reduce stress, then our body does start automatically becoming more hydrated. Because I think a lot of people have had the experience where they want to get hydrated, they've been told to drink water, and they drink all this water, and it just feels like it's just going straight through them. And it's like, and they actually almost start feeling worse. And that's because hydration isn't about how much water we're putting into our bodies, it's about the water getting to the right places. And again, if the body is stressed and contracted and congested, the water just can't get in and out of the cells where it's needed. So hydration is a big key.
Okay, so awesome. Hydration, really simple. Third tip.
Okay, then I think once we've got our body de-stressed and detoxed and we've got our cleansing cycles working again, which they can't really do when the body's stressed and clogged up. And then we want to keep the body cleansed. We want to keep the cleansing cycles moving. So regular colonics and replenishing with the probiotics, with the friendly bacteria. And again, it's not so much about that we're flushing so many of them out, it's just that we want to be constantly cleaning out the bad guys, by having the colonic and clearing out from that end, we're actually, we're kick-starting all the cleansing cycles in our body. So all our cells are constantly cleansing, we're constantly having toxins moving out of our cells. So, and when the toxins come out of our cells, they come into our bloodstream. From our bloodstream, they're being filtered by our liver and then into the intestines. If then they're getting all stuck there, then again it's all going to back up. So by constantly clearing the toxins out, we're keeping all our cleansing cycles going. So it's really important to keep cleansing. Colonics is a great way to do it.
Let's say someone again is new to this whole concept, what would you recommend that they start with as an average? Obviously every person's different, but what should a person be thinking about realistically? As
far as regularity of colonics?
Yeah.
I mean, generally when someone comes to me, if they haven't had a colonic before, we see how the first one goes. I generally recommend to have 2 or 3 in a short period of time. Okay. And it depends how the first one goes. If someone is if they're really struggling with constipation, they're quite clogged up, I would recommend the colonics were closer together. If things are flowing a lot more, then a bit more spaced out. And then after the initial 2 or 3, then again, like I say, it depends on the individual, but I would recommend for most people to have 1 colonic at least every 6 months to a year. That's kind of a minimum.
What about if someone's interested in optimal health? Do you think they should be going more often or not really?
It depends what else they're doing really, and it really depends.
Like I know people like Donna Gates, Truth Corkins, some of the people who I've learned from, they talk about once a week being appropriate for years. And I must admit, I haven't tried this myself, but when I got close to it, like every couple of weeks, I felt amazing. It hasn't sounded like a bad idea. And in fact, I was speaking recently with a well-known friend who maybe I shouldn't speak about him about this publicly, so I won't say his name. But he was saying that he was considering doing this very frequently, and that his partner was doing it very frequently, and his friend was doing it very frequently, like even several times a week, and they had nothing but benefit from it. Oh, another person I know who talks about it publicly, Natalia Rose, is quite a famous New York health expert, and she talks about having done it every day for several years, and She says she looks great, she feels great. I mean, what's your perspective on all that? Is it extreme?
I don't know. I don't think it is. I think I'm curious about it. I think I probably also have probably been influenced by, you know, the kind of caution around colonics and, oh, you mustn't do it too often. But actually, when I really think about it, it's great to be in optimal health and to be eating really healthily. But like I said, our modern world is stressful, and stress is gonna interrupt our cleansing cycles. And I think anything we can do to help the cleansing.
Yeah, put it this way, you're not trying to tell everyone they have to come and see you every day, right? You're not, obviously, but you've never seen someone who's done it too frequently and had bad results.
No.
That's kind of the point that I'm getting at.
Absolutely not.
No, the same for me. I mean, I remember I had from one client who said she'd done it every week for 2 years because you know, someone told her to, and she's, my digestion's great, you know, overall I feel good.
Absolutely,
She was one of those few people who called me because she wanted optimisation rather than she had a big problem, which is always nice.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to, and how long have you been doing this?
The colonics, I've been doing 5 years.
5 years, right. As not full time, but not like occasionally either, like several days a week kind of thing, and several days of this, several days of that.
Yeah.
So you know your stuff by now, right? Awesome, excellent. Again, I'm not trying to sell colonics as being absolutely essential for everyone necessarily. Like we said, there's some instances where it's not a good idea. If you have any medical issues, obviously always speak to your doctor. But yeah, that's really interesting. And the probiotics thing.
Yes.
What do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's very interesting. There was a dentist, you might have heard from Dr. Weston Price.
Sure.
He was very interested in optimal health, and he visited many cultures around the world. Being a dentist, he was very interested in teeth, and he saw a big relationship between the health of people's teeth and the health of the whole body. But one interesting thing he found was that in every single culture where they still had their traditional diet, as in traditional natural diet, there was always some fermented food in it. And it's the fermented food that has the friendly bacteria. And of course we've lost that now, you know, we just don't have it. You can't pick up a jar of sauerkraut from the supermarket. It's not the same.
There's some like 3 feet away from us brewing in there, like a 20-litre container. You can if you're around my house, but yeah, generally.
Yeah. I mean, the best probiotics are, the homemade sauerkraut, kefir, and our ancestors knew a thing or two about how to have optimum health. And so we don't have that now, so a good quality probiotic capsule is, a good boost.
It's better than nothing.
Absolutely.
But it would still be ideal to get some fermented foods into your diet if you possibly can. It depends where people are watching, right? I mean, things like New York, LA, anywhere there's a Whole Foods nearby, for instance, in USA or Canada, they can get some good quality sauerkraut, kombucha, kefir, right? All of these things are valid. Hopefully this would be more available in Western Europe. It already is in Eastern Europe again, right? My partner Hannah talks about traditionally having like sauerkraut brewing to last for the 6 months when there was no fresh vegetables growing in the garden. There'd be fresh sauerkraut brewing away in the she just calls it cabbage, not sauerkraut. I don't know, maybe that's an anti-German thing. I never quite clarified that. It's awesome. I'm glad you said that, because I think people who say that it's all about the pills, they miss something with that.
It's a good alternative.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. Excellent, cool. So 3 top tips. So just to review, just make sure I've got it right as well. Cut out the poisons,
the stress
that we think, which we think of as food, which is actually causing us stress.
Yes.
Right. Which was, see if I can remember. Follow along with me. Call it out. Right. We had. I won't do them in order. We had sugar, remember, and we had wheat, and we had processed dairy, and we had stimulants, and then last we had the first one. What was it?
The damaged fat.
Oh, the damaged fats. And just to clarify that, actually, for anyone who isn't quite clear, if it says vegetable oil on the packet, is that good? What about this says sunflower oil? Sunflower is good for you, right? No.
If it's, unfortunately all these nice looking bottles of clear, beautiful oil on the supermarket shelf have all been processed, refined, modified. With the exception of possibly extra virgin olive oil. Yeah, exactly. You need oil that has been cold pressed, and which you can get in the supermarket some good extra virgin cold pressed oil. Yeah, but unless it's that,
It's not. Unless it says very specifically, I am cold pressed, unrefined, unprocessed, blah, 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 then it's not.
Yeah.
It's poison.
Yes.
For the body cells.
Yes. Right. Especially margarine. Butter is much better. Much better.
And it's interesting as well, like people often say to me, oh, I'm eating hummus because it's so healthy. I'm like, that's the first ingredient, that is vegetable oil. That's just trans fats, right? That's not good for you. So low fat diets are not what we're recommending here, right? No, it's just none of
oils and fats are good.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
Just none of the toxic
just
stuff.
Not the bad ones.
Yeah, cool. And same for dairy. If you have like locally grown goats which are eating grass next door to you and you want to eat a bit of their butter or something, go for it, right? Just not the stuff from the supermarket. Cool. Okay, I think we know what sugar means and we know what wheat is, right? Anything that says flour on it, right? Doesn't have to say wheat, does it? It's just flour.
Yeah. Generally.
Don't want it. What about whole grain? That's alright though, isn't it?
No, it's still been processed. I'm modified.
Okay. And I think stimulants we know, so that's crack and cocaine and methamphetamine and coffee and tea and Coca-Cola and tobacco and cannabis, alcohol, all of that. Just don't touch it. Just don't do it. It's stress. So the drink at the end of the day, that's relieving my stress, right?
In the short term, it's like the sugar. It's a short-term fix. You get a kick from it, you know. But then,
I'm enjoying playing this. Devil's advocate. I should stop being silly. Okay. Awesome. Well, I've had great fun with you, Rani. Thank you so much. If someone wants to find out more about what you do, and ideally book a session with you if it's at all possible, and I would fly out to see this woman, by the way, if you're far away. So we certainly have people come and see you from London or whatever, right? From fairly far afield.
Yeah, sure.
So not unusual at all. Then how can they reach you?
I'm based in Brighton, and the best thing to do is to look at my website, which is blueberryhealing.co.uk, or you can email me on info@blueberryhealing.co.uk.
Blueberryhealing.
Blueberryhealing.co.uk.
And your name is?
Rani Louise.
Awesome, excellent. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. I've had a lot of fun. I think we've been, reviewing some basics here, which I sometimes forget about, like the whole food causes stress thing, which is really good and really helpful for all of us. And some new perspectives as well, which is excellent. And found out about an expert what she does. Hopefully at some other point we'll interview you about the whole laughter coaching thing. That's like really fascinating as well. But one thing at a time, I wanted to do a detox thing, so that's been awesome. So if you've enjoyed this, which I really hope you have, then you know what to do. Click the like button, please. It makes all this is we're doing this for free, right? So we're not to show your gratitude and to get involved. Please just click the like button. Leave a little comment. If you liked what you saw, just say thank you. If you have a question, go for it. Even if you have a challenging question, we like those as well, right? If you disagree with us, fine, put it down there and I'll answer it. So yeah, comments below, like button below, and contact Rani and find out more about what she does, because she is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for being here, Rani.
Thanks, Elwin. It was fun.